As the Newton School Committee devised ways and means to restart school in the fall amid a global pandemic, parents and guardians continue to worry about their children getting the education they need while not sacrificing their health. Ophelia Adjei-Awuah reports the city has 4 key guiding principles they hope to abide by to alleviate their concerns.
Since the onset of COVID-19, the city of Newton has recorded less than 800 cases with more than 80% recoveries, according to Deborah Youngblood, Newton's Commissioner of Health and Human Services.
So we're seeing a real slowing there. As I said, it doesn't mean we're not out of the woods. The virus is still with us, but we're in a very different place in terms of the possibility of limiting virus transmission.
But parents are not at ease when it comes to their children's safety.
Okay, my kid can go back to school with safety protocols in place. And I want to emphasize the safety protocols. I don't know how I feel about that now, and I imagine lots of other parents feel similarly conflicted and different than 3 or 4 weeks ago.
There have been many cases that the kids are getting the virus differently than grown-ups. These kids are going home to their parents, to their grandparents, and to friends every single day. That will be, there's no social distancing in a household, and there will be very clearly community transmission happening on that way.
He also had a concern for teachers.
The teachers and the staff of the schools. They are first in the row in there. They are there, and they will be the first one directly affected if a kid is transmitting it to a grown-up because they have to spend there most of the time.
But Superintendent David Fleischman understands.
Thinking about health and safety as number one for staff, students, and families. And we also think about psychological safety because we know that going back to school for students, adults, and families is stressful. There's a lot of emotion, understandable anxiety.
That notwithstanding, how will the committee's guiding principles for reopening surface?
We are working very closely with our Department of Health and Human Services, which spends full time monitoring research, working with public health professionals across the state. Academic engagement, that has to be a guiding principle. We're going to need to change how we do a lot of business as we think about academics, as we think about equity and social emotional, and then it's all driven by our health and safety guidance and principles.
Analysis from a survey conducted this summer by the committee is also steering them towards a hybrid model for fall reopening.
The largest percentage who said yes was for the hybrid model, so 75% of families said they would send their child in this model.
But preschool remains a challenge.
It's such a different population in terms of how the kids are served because it is different and it's unique.
They also discussed how to keep elementary school children fully engaged come fall.
And finally, we're thinking in terms of project-based learning. And by that we mean more of an integrated curriculum and giving students some more agency over their own learning.
At the same meeting, the group voted to extend the contract for School Superintendent David Fleischman, whose tenure ends next year.
I'll make a motion to approve the 3-year contract.
Thank you, Matthew. Is there a second? Thank you, Tamika. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? That would be 8-0.
In addition, the committee also voted to rename the Brown Auditorium after former Principal John Jordan, who served for 31 years until his retirement this year.
I move that we rename the Brown Auditorium after John Jordan.
Thank you, Emily. A second?
I second.
Thank you, Tamika. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? That would be 8-0 again, Lisa.
Ophelia Adjei-Awuah.